What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Crew 2, and in this video I will be taking a look at the Bugatti Divo Magma Edition. This is probably one of the most sought after Bugattis in the Crew 2 to this day. I'm actually really glad that they brought this thing back though, that way it does give players a chance to get this thing again though. And if you guys are wondering, by the way, the car doesn't actually come in black like this. I did head over to one of the liveries and change it to black though because it looks so dang good in this color. I also have different vanity tires on the car as well if you are wondering. I feel like the car looks so dang good in this setup though, it like fits it really well. I love the black and orange going around the Bugatti Divo, and I really do feel like that's probably one of the biggest reasons why so many players love this car. Not only is it going to look absolutely insane, but the overall performance to this day is still probably going to make this one of the best Bugattis in the game, even compared to the Bugatti Supersport 300 Plus as well. But let's go do an outside look of the Bugatti Divo Magma Edition right now and also take this thing on a quick top speed test. I really do want to see how this car is going to compare to something like the 300 Supersport. So now taking an outside look of the Bugatti Divo Magma Edition, you guys are probably first going to notice the orange basically glistening in the sunlight. I really do love the way this thing actually looks, plus the Bugatti Divo is probably one of my favorite Bugattis ever. Like, these cars really are a work of art. It's kind of insane the amount of time and all that probably goes into one build. Plus it's going to have a quad turbocharged V16 in there as well, which is honestly insane, and you can definitely hear that in this Bugatti as well. Now, if you guys are wondering, the sound of this Bugatti is not going to be any different from the regular Divo. It's mainly going to be the actual looks of this car that make this thing look so dang awesome. I do want to know in the comments below which Bugatti is going to be your favorite in the Crew 2 and why. But nonetheless, guys, the interior in this vehicle is also going to look awesome. It's going to be fully covered in carbon fiber and or orange, and you really can see the detail of this thing as well. Like, it looks so dang good. If you guys did want to drive in first person mode, I would say this car is going to look just fine. I really do love how the orange is going to look in the interior. I also really like the orange stitching on the seat as well. You really can see the detail that was put into this interior. I also really like being able to actually see the detail of the carbon fiber. And if you guys were wondering with the dash as well, you have the RPM reader. You also have your speed there, and then also like your gear indicator very small in the middle. So at least there's going to be some nice detail to the overall dash as well. I do want to know though, guys, what would be your favorite interior setup in a car like color combo? I feel like there's so many different ways you can do an interior depending on the out exterior color of your car. But overall though, I would say the Bugatti Magma Edition is looking pretty awesome. And now besides all that though, let's see what the top speed of the Bugatti Divo Magma Edition actually is. So normally when I actually race this car, guys, I actually have the gearbox down 1 point. Before this though, I moved it all the way up to really see what this car can actually get to. So running a Nitro Chemist set, this thing is also going to be a 7-speed. And the Bugattis have such a nice and smooth gearbox on the Crew 2, so it really does not affect them in any negative way. And with a Nitro Chemist set, guys, these cars are honestly insane. That's probably why so many players run the Bugattis. I did hear something about the 300 Supersport getting slightly nerfed recently, so I'm really going to be wondering how the other Bugattis are going to stack up now. So let's see what this car can get to. So the Magma Edition, guys, can hit 318 to 317 miles an hour or so. It's again most likely going to come down to which road you guys are actually on. I did notice some of the cars on this game tend to be slightly slower and or faster depending on the road, and it does look like I also cannot drive either. But luckily the Bugatti Magma Edition is still going to be insanely fast, and it's by far going to be one of the best hypercars to this day. So the Magma Edition is actually one of my most used hypercars in the game. I believe I have almost 2,800 miles on this car. What's kind of hilarious is I basically always ran this thing on the hyper events. I most likely did the hyper events until I cannot think correctly anymore, but overall, guys, if you do want to farm races and stuff and have a great time while doing it, I would definitely recommend trying out the Divo Magma Edition if you did get it. I really do find this car insanely fun to use, and when I normally do the hyper events, if it's not in the summit, I always run a Fade Magnet set with all my points on bucks as well. That's actually going to be a really good way to make a lot of money on the crew too. And when it does come to the summits though, if you guys do want to run the Magma Edition, you can easily jump on there with this car and still score insanely well even compared to basically any other Bugatti and or many of the other hypercars at the same time as well. I do know the Super Sport 300 basically took over this class for a while, but to be honest, I do think this class is also going to get mixed up a bit because a lot of players are running something like the Tempesta or like the Regera and or like the McLaren Senna as well. So I noticed in the hypercar category though, you don't necessarily have to pick one vehicle to actually compete in summits. I have been noticing a lot of people still running the Magma Edition to this day. This car is honestly pretty incredible, guys, and if you do run this thing on the smaller events, I would actually recommend bringing down the gearbox just 1 point. It does seem to help the acceleration, which I'm sure a lot of players actually notice how the Bugattis in general normally don't have the best overall acceleration to them. Do keep in mind if you guys actually lower the gearbox 1 point, you're going to lose a little bit of top speed, but to be honest, I really don't think that's going to hurt them, especially on these smaller events. Now, one thing I also noticed about the Magma Edition, so one thing I do have to admit, guys, I really haven't driven this car that much in the past, though. I'm actually going to start doing more hyper events in this thing now, especially after messing around with the pro settings a little bit. So I did notice with the Magma Edition before that sometimes going over certain hills and or certain areas that the car would basically lose its stability completely. I do think this also goes for some of the other Bugattis as well, but after messing around with the pro settings, guys, I find this car to be much better now, and it's also going to be a lot more stable in so many different areas, so I would definitely recommend trying it out. I do want to know what you guys think about the Magma Edition in the comments below. From what I have seen, I would definitely say the Magma Edition is by far going to be one of the most sought after cars in the Crew 2. I really do hope everybody that actually wanted this car did manage to get it. And here are my updated pro settings on the Bugatti Magma Edition that definitely seem to make this car a lot better.